Welcome back. This is part 2 of my video that I did earlier on how to replace the screen on an iPhone 6. I thought I'd just do a second part to this, even though that first video is pretty much inclusive, because I wanted to mention, in case you are new, phone screen doesn't come with things like the earpiece, the camera, and all this kind of cabling up here, and also this backing plate. So if for some reason your new kit doesn't come with that and you saw my first video, never fear, because we're going to finish this up just to show you how to replace everything so that you can definitely do this yourself with confidence. So if you haven't seen my first video on how to replace this screen, definitely check it out, because it covers a lot of important things, especially like changing the proprietary home button, because that is non-transferable when you get a new screen. But otherwise, we're going to finish up this today, and I'm going to be using this kit that I showed in one of my previous videos on this HyperTough. If you haven't seen that review, I'll also link it in the top right. But nonetheless, let's get started here. So the first thing we'll do is, now that we have the home button off here, is we'll want to take off this backing plate here for the camera, the proximity sensor, and the earpiece. So we have these 3 Phillips screws right here that we'll take off. And here I'll mention, I believe these 2 Phillips screws are the same, whereas this one's a little bit longer. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you keep them organized like I talked about in the first video with my tape and paper method. Next here, we'll lift up the front-facing camera so that we can access the earpiece. That will just literally pull out like that. And as you can see right here, this is where it sits into. So we can get that out of the way. And now, let's push this cable. This goes to the screen. So the rest of these on this side, pull it up here. So this whole bundle here that I'm moving with my tweezers, this is what we need to get off now. And this just comes off by peeling it. You'll just want to do so gently so you don't destroy any of the actual cables. And I'm going to use my favorite tool here, the plastic scraper, just so we can get underneath everything without damaging those. All right, so now we have that out. Have all those cables out. Get that out of the way. Yours might also not come with these plastic holders, so if you want, you can pull these out. Sometimes you need to scrape it. So I think mine, I might need to get a knife or something to get underneath it. There we go. Got that out. Now I'm gonna get something. Now maybe I can do it with this. All right, so now we have both of those plastic supporting pieces. So now, the last thing we'll need to do, if yours, again, doesn't come with this, is transfer this backing plate for the whole screen. So as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws. The other one came off when we took off the home button. And then as you can see on the bottom of this plate is this little connector, which may or may not come with your new one, but it should, seeing how this wire and cable are attached to it. So there you go. All right, so now that we've got everything off the old phone, now we can transfer everything onto the new screen. Now, since I already repaired the screen in the last video, I'm just going to be using the screen I just took everything off of, again, to help walk you through it. And with that said, you'll notice this tape here. I was playing around with some things here and I broke this ribbon. So that's why that's on here. You'll be fine doing what I showed you before. I just got a little adventurous. So you'll know when you got everything off the top here, when it's just these two cables here left. That's for the LCD or for the screen. And now when you have a clean surface, you can put everything back here. So I guess the first thing we'll do is attach our cover plate, or our backing plate, excuse me. And these screws are all different sizes, so you definitely do want to keep track. And a trick is don't tighten them down all the way. You'll want to get every other screw in and lined up first and then cinch it down, otherwise you won't be able to get everything in. And I like to do this in a random pattern just so it seats evenly. My advice when doing this is to make sure that if you're working on something like a table or some other work surface, that the new screen is protected, whether that be putting a cloth underneath or just holding it in your hands so that you don't scratch the screen on whatever work surface you're using. Now we'll just work in reverse order. So first we'll get our plastic backing mounts in. Now for the Alright, so actually before I put that rubber piece back on, let's get this all in place. So again, I'm just going to move these out of the way so you can see what I got going on here. So you'll notice here, a little small, but right there, between this hole here and this screw hole here, there's a little white nub. On the ribbons, that's where this hole fits into. So I want to get that there. Now it's going to be pretty hard for you to see, so you'll just have to trust me. All right, got that there. Get this. All right. And now next to that, we'll put that little rubber piece. Importantly, when you put back on this ribbon, you'll want to make sure there's half of it stays up, and that's the piece that has the actual camera, and the other half, let's see if I can show it to you here, that's what it looks like underneath. So make sure that's all bent over like that, everything's in place. And then we can put the earpiece in. That just slides over top. And then we can put the camera down over that. Make sure it goes through that little plastic support. And make sure everything's kind of seated. And then we can put back on this little mount. And there you go. And these rest of there should be 4 cables sticking out. That will go on to the other half of the iPhone. Again, if you haven't seen the full video that I have on how to replace the screen, I'll link it below so you can reference it. That'll show you how to do, obviously, the rest of this repair if you're only seeing this video for the first time. But otherwise, you can definitely do this yourself. A kit costs like 20 bucks and it includes most of the tools. But again, I'll recommend that 77-piece set that I have and done a review of. So questions, comments, concerns, please put them below. Appreciate you watching. Catch you in the next one.